Good morning, students. Hope you are all safe and fine. Myself, Dr. Munmun Nath, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, SS College, Hailakandi. I, on behalf of the college, congratulate you all for your success in the HSLC examination and welcome you all in this prestigious Shikishan Shraddha College. At present, we have 3 faculties in our department, myself, Dr. Munmun Nath, and my other 2 colleagues are Dr. Abdul Hannan Choudhury, Assistant Professor, and Mr. Subrata Das, Assistant Professor of the department. Due to COVID-19 pandemic situation, instead of offline classes, we are going to start our online classes of this session. Let's start. And this is the syllabus of mathematics in your HS first year class. Today we will talk about the chapter 2. The name of the chapter is Relation and Function. In this chapter, we will learn the Cartesian product of sets, relation, inverse relation, functions, some basic definitions, and some real function and sketch their graphs. First one is our Cartesian product of sets. We all know what is a set. Set is a collection of well-defined objects. That is, if a collection is well-defined, then we can call this collection as a set. If we consider any two sets, obviously non-empty set A and B, then the Cartesian product of A and B is denoted by A cross B and is defined as the set of all ordered pairs of the form small a and small b, where small a comes from the set capital A and small b comes from the set capital B. That is here first element. A is here first component here. First component comes from the first set and second component B comes from the second set B. By ordered pair we means, that is, if we write any two elements inside a first bracket and separated them by putting a comma in between them, then we can call this element as an ordered pair element. So we have seen the elements of A cross B is of the form of ordered pair elements. Now if we talk about the B cross A, then B cross A is the set of all ordered pairs of the form ordered pair of the elements of the form BA, where small b belongs to capital B and small a belongs to the capital A. Here the first component comes from the first set and second component comes from the second set. In general, A cross B may not be equal to B cross A. If A cross B is equal to B cross A, then A should be equal to B. That is, if the ordered pair AB is equal to the ordered pair BA, then small a should be equal to your small b. In a Cartesian product A cross B, if any of this set is equal to 5, that is empty set, then the Cartesian product always comes out as an empty set. Here one example is given here, and I have mentioned one example, that is how if A and B are known to us, how can we find the value of A cross B. Here A is the set containing 1, 2, 3 and B is the set containing the elements 4 and 5. Therefore, A cross B is the set of all ordered pair elements where the first element comes from the set A and second element comes from the set B. That is, our element of our A cross B should be 1, 4, 1, 5, 2, 4, 2, 5, 3, 4, 3, 5. So we have seen here what is the Cartesian product. How can you find the Cartesian products of two sets when the sets are known to us? Next topic is our relation. Relation is an ordered pair. Relation is a set of all ordered pairs. A relation R, if we say that R is a relation from A cross B, then R should be a subset of A cross B. And the elements of A cross B we have seen in the earlier slide, that is A cross B is the set of all those elements which are in the form of ordered pair, where the first element comes from the set A and second element comes from the set B. So here we can say that R is also a set which is in the form of ordered pair AB, where A comes from the set capital A and B comes from the set capital B. Here A is known as the first component of the relation and B is known as the second component of the relation R. If we consider all those first components in a set, then this set is known as a domain of the relation. And if we consider all the second components in a set, then this set is known as our range of the relation R. Here I am giving one example. R is a relation which contains the element ordered pair X and Y, which are relates with each other by that relation X is equal to 3Y plus 1. Here X is your first component, Y is your second component. And the value of second component is given as 1, 2 and 5. So directly we can say that the range of this relation is nothing but the set containing 1, 2 and 5. Now we have to find the domain of that relation. If we put y equal to 1, we will get the value of x as 4. If y equal to 2, value of x will be 7. If y is 5, then value of x comes out as 16. So the domain of that relation is the value of x, that is 4 set which contains the element 4, 7 and 16. In this way we can find the domain and range of a relation. If a set A contains m element and the set B contains n element, then the A cross B contains the mn elements, and the number of power subsets of A cross B is nothing but your 2 to the power m, and since R is a subset of A cross B, therefore there is 2 to the power mn possible relations from A to set B. Next comes the inverse relation. If R is a relation from A to B, that is R is a subset of A cross B, then the inverse relation of R is denoted by R to the power minus 1, which is a subset of B cross A, and it is denoted by R to the power minus 1. That is, if R is known to us, we can find the value of R inverse. That is, R inverse, the element of R inverse is nothing but your ordered pair yx such that xy is in R. And if we take the R inverse whole inverse, we will get the relation, the earlier relation R. If a relation R is nothing but a set of ordered pair xy such that x is equal to 2xy, then R inverse will be the set of ordered pair yx such that y is equal to x by 2. So this is all about your relation. Our next topic is function. This is a very important topic. Now you see here, what is a function? Function is a special type of relation. A function is a relation from a set of inputs to the set of outputs where each input is related to exactly one output. This is the important line here. In mathematical, we can say that a relation f is said to be a function from a set x to another set y if for every small x belongs to capital X, there exists an unique element small y belongs to capital Y such that f of small x is equal to small y. In that case, we can consider this relation as a function, and we define it f such that x arrow y. Here x is known as the domain and y is called the codomain of the function f. And here and now you see here, f of small x equal to small y is, in that case, y is called the image of x under the function f, and x is called the pre-image of y under the function f. And if we collect all the image elements in a set, then this set is nothing but your range of the function f. Our next definition is real valued function. That is, in a function, if the range is either a real number or a subset of real number, then a function is said to be a real valued function. And in a real valued function, if the domain is also R or a subset of R, then we can call this real valued function as a real function. Here one example is given. F is a function from x to y such that fx is equal to x square, means y equal to x square. Y and x are related by this relation y equal to x square. Here x is the domain and y is the codomain. The set x contains the element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and y contains the element 1, 2, 4, 9, 16, 25. So from here, f of 1 is equal to 1, f of 2 equal to 4, f of 3 equal to 9, f of 4 equal to 16, f of 5 is equal to 25. So here the domain of f is nothing but your x, codomain of f is nothing but our y. And if we consider all the image point, now you see here 2 is not an image point of any elements of x, right? So in the range set we can't take 2. In the range set our elements should be 1, 4, 9, 16 and 25. So in this way we can find the domain and range of a function if the functions are known to us. Here some real function, examples of some real functions and their graphs. First one is our identity function. Identity function is a function which returns the same value, means whatever may be the value of x, your fx will be the same. Whatever the value of x, your fx should be the same value. That is f of x equal to x, that is f of 1 equal to 1, f of 2 equal to 2, if f of 5 equal to 5. Such type of functions are known as identity function. The domain of this function is R and the range of this function is also R. If we draw the graph of that function, we will get a straight line which passes to the point 0, passes to origin, and it lies on the first and third quadrant, and which also bisect the first and third quadrant. Next one is our constant function. A constant function is a function which always gives the same output whatever may be the value of input. That is, I am considering here fx equal to c. That is, f of 1 equal to c, f of 2 equal to c, f of 5 is equal to c. So if we draw the graph of that function, we will get a straight line which is parallel to x-axis. Next one is our polynomial function. A polynomial function is a function if it can be expressed in terms of a polynomial. And what is a polynomial? Polynomial is nothing but an algebraic expression where the powers of the exponents of the variable is always a positive integer. Here quadratic equation and cubic equation are the examples of a polynomial function. Here I am considering a quadratic equation y equal to x square and draw the graph of that polynomial. Next one is our rational function. Rational function is a function which can be defined by the rational fraction, that is an algebraic fraction where both the numerator and denominator are polynomial. That is, if gx is equal to your fx by hx, hx not equal to 0 and fx and hx both are polynomials, in that case we can call gx as a rational function. Here I am considering one example, gx is equal to 1 by x, x not equal to 0, and draw the graph of that function. Now you see that this graph contains two parts. One part is in the first quadrant, that is y is equal to 1 by x, x greater than 0, and one part in the third quadrant, y equal to 1 by x, x less than 0. Next one is our modulus function. A modulus function is a function which gives the absolute value of a number or variable. It is also known as absolute value function, means whatever may be the sign of your x, your fx is always comes out as a positive. And this can be denoted by fx is equal to mod x. Mod x means it will be, the value of mod x will be x if x is greater than equal to 0 and minus x if x less than 0. If we draw the graph of that function, you will get a straight line graph which lies above the x-axis, because there is no part on the lower part of x-axis. Next one is our signum function. A function f from R to R is of the form, that is, if x is for any negative values of x, your fx is always minus 1. For any positive value of x, your fx is always 1. And if x is equal to 0, fx equal to 0. If function is of that type, then this is known as our signum function. Here the domain of function is nothing but our set of real numbers, and the range of the function is minus 1, 0, 1, because the value of y is minus 1, 0 and 1. And if we draw the graph of that function, we will get two straight lines. One is y equal to 1, that is in the first quadrant, and another is y equal to minus 1 in the third quadrant. This is a broken graph. We can't join these two parts of this signum function graph. And we can also say that this is signum function is nothing but your mod x by x. If fx is equal to mod x by x, then we will get a signum function. Next one is your greatest integer function. A function f from R to R such that y equal to fx equal to x within a third bracket. A greatest integer function is always denoted by writing the variable inside a third bracket, where this x inside a third bracket assumes the value of the greatest integer less than is equal to x. It is known as your greatest integer function. Now you see here, if x is an integer, then the value of fx is nothing but your x. If x is not an integer, then the value of fx will be the greatest integer less than x. Now if I find the value of f of 2, since 2 is an integer, so f of 2 is nothing but your 2. F of 4, since 4 is an integer, f of 4 is nothing but your 4. That is f of 1 is an integer, f of 1 is nothing but your 1. If I write f of minus 2 is an integer, so f of minus 2 is nothing but your minus 2. If I write f of 1.5, x is equal to 1.5, that is f of 1.5. 1.5 is not an integer, so we have to find the greatest integer which is less than 1.5. So the greatest integer but less than 1.5 is nothing but your 1. So f of 1.5 is 1. Similarly, if we find the value of f of minus 2.5. 2.5 is not an integer, so f of minus 2.5 is the greatest integer which is less than minus 2.5, that is our minus 3. So in that way we can find the greatest integer value of the greatest integer function. The domain of this function is f, and the range of this function is nothing but your set of integers. If we draw the graph of that type of function, we will get some straight lines which are parallel to x-axis, but there are some parts of the graphs we can't join these graphs. Here I am considering here two examples to show that how to find the domain and range of a function. I will do here first one, and second one is your homework. So here fx is equal to root over 2 minus x and x minus 4. Now you see here in our syllabus, I have told you earlier that in your syllabus we have to consider only the real function. That is, our domain is a real domain, should belongs to R, and the range also is R, a subset of R. Fx is equal to root over 2 minus x into x minus 4. This will be a real number. To find, now you remember, now you see, to find the domain of a function, we have to find the interval where fx is defined. If we find any point or any interval where fx is not defined, you just omit this part. So to find the domain of a function, we have to see when your f is defined. Here f is defined whenever 2 minus x into x minus 4 is greater than equal to 0. That is, the product of two terms is positive. Therefore, each term should come out of same sign. If we consider 2 minus x is greater than equal to 0, then x minus 4 is also greater than equal to 0. From here, we will get x is less than equal to 2, y is greater than equal to 4, which is impossible. That is, we can't find any value of x which satisfies these two inequalities. Therefore, 2 minus x not greater than equal to 0. Therefore, 2 minus x is less than is equal to 0. This implies x minus 4 is also less than equal to 0. Therefore, from these two inequalities, x lies between 2 and 4. So our fx is defined in the interval 2 and 4. It is also defined at x equal to 2 and x equal to 4. Therefore, the domain of f is closed interval 0 and 4. Now, let's how to find the range of a function. To find the range of a function, first of all, we have to consider y is equal to fx. That is, y is equal to root over 2 minus x into x minus 4. That is, y in terms of x. To find the range of a function, we have to first convert x in terms of y. So I am converting here x in terms of y. It will come out as minus 6 plus minus root over 4 into 1 minus y square by 2, which belongs to 1. This value of x will be a real number whenever 1 minus y square is greater than is equal to 0. If we simplify it, we will get y lies between minus 1 and plus 1. But the value of y is positive. Therefore, we can't take any negative value of y. Therefore, the value of y should lie between 0 and 1. It may be 0, it may be 1. Therefore, the range of this function is the closed interval 0 and 1. In this way, we can find the domain and range of a function. I think it's clear to you. There are so many examples given in your book. Please you go through the book and try to solve this type of problems. This is all for today. Thank you.